It's been a while since I showed you progress with the grapevines, so I thought I'd just give you a quick view around the place, and you can have a look at how the vines have grown, what successes and failures I've had over the last 2 or 3 years. The vine that I've got in this greenhouse has been in for 4 years, and you might remember me planting it on a previous version, a previous video. So I'll just show you these ones. You can see that the vine was planted in this big black bucket down the bottom here, and the first year it basically grew up this one shoot right the way up to the level where you see it breaking out into 2 shoots. The second year, as I say, it broke out into those 2 shoots, and one went this way, and as you can see it's looking pretty healthy. It's gone right to the end of the greenhouse. The second shoot went right the way across the other side of the greenhouse and is on the southwest facing wall. The date is the 13th of June 2020, and you can see there are a few other small bunches of grapes just starting to form up here. Still very small at the moment. Now this grape is a Cheval Blanc, and last year I actually managed to harvest 7 pounds of grapes off this one vine. So that was quite good, because that allowed me to make 1 gallon of quite nice wine, which is now ready, sitting in bottles, but it is fine. So quite pleased with that. So I'll show you in the other greenhouse where things have not been quite such a success as what they were in here. Now this grape is the Dornfelder grape, and it's the same age as the other ones, 4 years old. It grew really well last year, was looking like this, and then suddenly everything changed. The leaves went yellow, they started dropping off very quickly, and what it was the dreaded grapevine weevil. So I managed to save this one, I think. So, but there's no real fruit on it, just 1 or 2 grapes, but not many. There's a few here, and I think there's a couple somewhere else, but yeah, there's not much on it. But it is looking fairly healthy, so I think I managed to save it. I used nematodes, the vine weevil nematodes, last year, as soon as I saw anything was happening to the vine, and I watered that into the soil, so it has saved it. But of course the grubs eat the roots, and that's what had happened here. So a lot of the roots have been destroyed, so it's having to regrow its roots, and that's why it's probably not putting out too much fruit as yet. But that's that. So that's the Bacchus. Sorry, that's the Dornfelder. The other one that I lost was a Bacchus grape, and that used to sit on the other side of the greenhouse over here, and that one unfortunately just was destroyed totally by the vine weevils and never recovered. In fact, I just pull the whole stalk out. You just pull it out with your hand like that, because there was no roots at all left. So unfortunately the nematodes were not applied probably soon enough to save that one. So it was a serious problem. I noticed the weevils fairly early on in the season, but as I say, I couldn't save it. So I've had to buy some more vines to replace the ones that I've lost, and I've just planted them this year, so I'm going to show you those just now. Right, this vine here, I only planted it this year in the spring, early on, about March, and it's a Suffolk Red, so it's a hybrid type grape, and it's really put on a tremendous amount of growth so far this year. So it's looking very healthy. So I'm very pleased with that one. Looking good. And then I have another one down here, which is called Black Hamburg. This one here in the big pot, the Black Hamburg. So that one was planted at exactly the same time as the other one there, the same as the red Suffolk, but it's put on hardly any growth. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It looks healthy, and it's only started growing in the last couple of weeks really. It took a long time to get going. So hopefully it's alright, and we'll just leave it there to see how it gets on. I've got one more here, which is this one here, and this is a Chardonnay. So you can see I planted that one again this year, but only in a small pot. However, it's grown really well, and I'm going to plant that up into a big pot now today. I've been as we've been in the COVID-19 lockdown for what seems like an eternity. It's been about 14 weeks now, I think, for us. But the garden centre is now opened, so I've been waiting to get some horticultural grit to put into the mix. So that's why it's been put in a small pot of John and his compost. And what I'm going to do now is put it into a big pot. So I'll show you that process again, and hopefully it'll be okay. I'm not quite sure which greenhouse I'm going to put it in. I think the other one, because this one's already got 3 vines in it, so I think that's going to be enough in here. And of course, with the vine weevils being present, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I've never got the vine weevils in the other greenhouse, so I don't know why, but that's it. Okay, so I'm going to show you right from the process of putting some holes in the pots through to planting it up. Right, so I bought these pots online. They're really very good quality, made in the UK, and you can see that they're quite a bit thicker rimmed than my other ones. Nice pattern. So they are actually called blacksmith's pots, and 52 centimetre blacksmith tub is what they're called. They've got these decent handles on, which I actually think you could pick it up by if it's not too heavy once it's filled. So that's a bonus. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put some holes in the bottom just with a drill. So I've just got on here, I've just got a Forstner type bit on here, which hopefully will work quite nicely there. It's 15mm. I'm just going to put 4 holes in the bottom here. There we go, 4 nice holes in the bottom. Yeah, that's a good clean cut with those Forstner bits. Okay, so what I've got here, I've just dug this out of the compost. We've got the mixture of leaf mould, which is this top stuff here, this lovely black stuff, really nice and rich. And then there's homemade compost underneath it, mixture of all sorts of stuff in there. So all good stuff. A compost doesn't have too much in the way of fertiliser. So being as we're going to be putting this vine in a pot, it's going to be in there for a number of years, hopefully growing and producing well. So we're going to be putting in a fairly large amount of blood, fish and bone meal, which is that one. That's a slow release fertiliser. And I'm also going to be putting in a small amount of high nitrogen fertiliser, chicken manure basically, chicken manure pellets. So that'll allow it to get some nice leaves on it and put on growth, which is what we want this year. The other thing that I've got here is horticultural coarse grit. I've got 2 bags of that, 10 kilo bags. And I'm also going to be using this here, which is John Innes number 3 compost. And we'll be putting some of that in with this and mixing it with some of the grit as well. So we get a good free draining but moisture retentive soil. So that's really where we're at. What I've done in the bucket, after putting the holes in, I needed some crocks. So I've got some crocks here, old plant pots. I'm just covering the holes up so that the compost we're putting in there doesn't come out. And also it'll help with the drainage. So I'm also going to put a little layer of grit in there right now at the bottom. Put a bit of this horticultural grit in the bottom. I was giving that an even sort of covering, about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. Then I'm going to start and put some of this in. But, I'm going to put in some of the fertiliser first. So I'm just going to give that a little chop up. It's pretty good stuff. The leaf mould's been in the leaf mould bin for 2 years. And the compost is just from last year. Right, let's try a bit of this fish blood and bone in. Let's do it in layers. And a little bit of the pelleted chicken manure. Do. Give that a little mix in again. Right, now I'll get started with some of that. There we go, that's looking pretty good. Right, I'm going to mix a bit of grit into that now. And again, just a bit with the spade, just mix it in there. Right, now we're putting a bit of the John Innes compost number 3. All that down in that. Some more of this onto that. I'm going to add a bit more of the bone meal because I've gone down a fair bit now in that bucket. Fish blood and bone. A bit more of the chicken manure. Stop at that point because I want to make sure that the plant will fit in. So here's our Chardonnay. So I'm just going to pop them in here. I want to have the level of the soil the same once it's in the pot. So, and I want it to be right up to the top as much as possible, because it will sink down as this settles. I would say something like that's going to be fine. So I'm just going to fill it up to that level now. Get some more of this compost. That's a stone that will come out. Okay, my little trick now for giving it a good start. Let's use some more of this John Innes. So I'm just going to, I think that's about right. Lift that out. Hopefully you can see we've got a nice hole there. It's the same size as the pot. Now I'm going to try, I don't know how well this will stick together. Well, not very well. Right, now that's not so good. I had hoped it to go straight in. Okay, I'm not going to worry. Put them in. Soil level was up here. Right, so now I'll just have to fill them in. Now that vine's been in the pot, in that smaller pot, since March, so it's obviously grown fairly well, but hasn't totally filled the pot. That's not a problem, it's in there now and we'll do fine. So I'm just going to use a bit more of this, the John Innes in the top. Right, so it's about an inch from the top there, but based on previous experience, when I water that one in, it's going to sink. So it'll probably go down an inch or two. So I'm going to leave that for today. I won't put the grit on the top, but I'll come back in a couple of weeks and see if it's dropped down. And I'll probably top up the soil a bit more with some more John Innes, up to the same level as it is now, and then I'll put some grit on it, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and that'll keep it looking good. So the last thing to do is give it a good watering in. Really soak it. You can see there, that's sitting quite well on the top of that John Innes compost. That'll soon drain away and bring all the soil down and settle the roots in. So it's getting a good drink now, presumably. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you like the video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.